Okay, so today we're going to talk about multi-step inequalities, and we're also going to talk about an exception to the rules we talked about on Wednesday. So multi-step inequalities. Inequalities. All right. So we're going to take some of those problems that had variables on both sides, bless you, and we're going to throw these into here. We're also going to take some of those problems that had a lot of parentheses and a lot of distributing into it, and we're going to see how we're going to deal with that in problems that have the inequalities. Also, like I said, we're going to talk about one of the exceptions, and let's talk about that exception first. So, Gareth, give me a number. 17, all right. Emily, give me another number.
33.
Perfect. Now, would you guys all agree with me that 33 is greater than 17? Perfect.
Oh,
Okay. So if Pac-Man wanted to eat one of these two, Pac-Man would want to eat 33, right? Or did you guys learn that this is a gator? Is that how you learned it?
I learned it was greater than or less than sign.
Okay. I learned it as Pac-Man. Because like if you draw this in as it's Pac-Man. That's why I have this thing up there. Pac-Man. Anyway, so Pac-Man wants to eat the greater one. So Pac-Man wants to eat 33, not 17. But if you learned it as an alligator, that's fine. Okay, so if I add a number to both of these, let's say I add 5 to both of them. So plus 5, and I'm being fair. I'm adding the same number to both of them. 17 plus 5 turns into what?
12.
No.
Or what? Oh, 23. My bad.
No.
Or 22.
There we go,
Wow.
22.
Don't post this on YouTube, please.
33 plus 5 turns into what? 38.
Not to sleep.
It's
Sorry.
okay. Now, is the right-hand side still bigger than the left-hand side? Okay, cool. How about if I subtract a number from both of them? Let's say I subtract 10 from both sides. So minus 10 minus 10. So 22 would turn into what?
12.
12.
I got that one.
And 38 would turn into 28. Now, is the right-hand side still bigger than the left-hand side?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. How about if I multiply both sides by something? Let's say I multiply both sides by 2. So times 2 times 2. So what's 12 times 2? 24. And what's 28 times 2? Is the right-hand side still bigger? All right. Now, let's do something real wacky here. Instead of multiplying by 2, let's multiply by something negative. So let's multiply by negative 2 and multiply by negative 2. And let's see what happens now. So 24 times negative 2 would be what? Negative 48. And 56 times negative 2? Negative 100 what?
12.
Negative 112. Which one's bigger now?
Negative 48.
The inequality flipped. Do you guys see how that works? You'd rather owe $48 than owe $112, right?
Yeah.
So this one is actually worth more than that one because it's closer to 0 than that one is. The person who only owes $48 is less broke than the person who owes $112. They're both broke, but this person's less broke. It's going to take less to get this guy out of the hole than guy or girl than it will to take this guy or girl out of the hole. Right? Do you guys see that? So the rule is if you multiply or divide, and this would have affected stuff on your last assignment. I didn't teach you this rule, so I'm not going to count them wrong. Multiply or divide, which is why we didn't correct this in class, by a negative number, the inequality needs to flip. And for the most part, this doesn't change anything. It only changes the last step. Needs to flip. So you don't change anything until the very, very last step then you only change it at the last step if the number in front of the variable is negative. So you only change if the, and I'm not even going to use the fancy math term for that, which is coefficient. If the coefficient of the variable is negative, I'm not going to use that fancy math term. I'm going to say if the number in front of the variable is negative. Okay, so this only changes for the very last step of these problems. Kind of, sort of. So I'm going to show you what this looks like here in just a second. All right, so don't freak out too much on me. So let's take a look at an example. So let's say that we've got, geez, I'm bad at coming up with these off the top of my head, so I'm just going to use one from your assignment.
We are perfectly fine with you doing
I know you are. I know you are. Okay, so let's do -6 times, in parentheses, 2 plus 4p, close parentheses, greater than or equal to 108. All right, so the steps are the same. So first step is going to be to do what, Elijah?
No.
Right, there's a special word for that though. It rhymes with distribute. What is it, Elijah? Distribute. Okay. So I'm going to distribute -6 to both things inside. And then what is the left-hand side going to turn into when I do that, Elijah? -12 minus 24p. Perfect. Now, I'm not at the last step, so I don't have to change the inequality. So I don't need to worry about this because I'm not at the last step, right? So I'm going to leave this exactly as it was, greater than or equal to 108. Okay, cool. Now, what would be the next thing I'd have to do here then, Emily?
You would have to add 12, and then, yeah, add 12 on both sides.
Great, so I'm adding 12 to both sides. -12 plus 12, what does that turn into, Emily? Emily,
Yes?
what does -12 plus 12 turn into?
0.
Great. And then on the right-hand side, 108 plus 12, what does that turn into? 120. Perfect. And then I'm dropping this down because I'm not at the last step, so I don't need to worry about that. Then I've got -24p. So, okay. Now, am I at the last step now?
Yes.
Great. I'm at the last step. So now, I need to check to see, is the number in front of the variable negative? Okay. So the number in front of the variable is negative. That means when I do this last step, I need to flip this. You guys with me on how I decided that? I checked to see if I was at the last step, and if I was at the last step, I checked to see if the number in front of the variable, or in math fancy terms, the coefficient, and if that coefficient was negative, then I need to flip the inequality. Okay? So, to do this last step, I'm going to divide both sides by what? Not just 24, but -24. So I'm going to divide by -24. So this is going to turn into 1, which is just p. And then I have to find out what 120 divided by -24. It's going to be something negative because it's positive.
-5.
Great. And because I divided by negative, this flips. Now, as far as graphing it goes, you'll have a line on your paper to graph it, but I'm going to draw my own line in here. I'm going to put my point of interest in the middle, so I'm going to put 5 in the middle here. I'm going to go up a couple, 6 and 7. I'm going to go down a couple, 4 and 3. I'm going to put my dot above 5. Should I color it in?
Yeah.
Great. I'm going to color it in. Now, is my variable on the left here?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember, left, not left. And then right now my arrow is pointing that way, which means that my arrow needs to point in the same direction here. You guys with me on that?
Putting negatives on there.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Good
Respect
Lord.
those negatives.
You're right, absolutely. Mr. Taft, not respecting his negatives. Jeez, you should report me.
For the first time.
So -4, -3, and then this should be -6 and -7. So I even have to reverse the numbers and everything. This is colored in dot, and then it goes that way. And then this is all malarkey. Mr. Taft was feeding you a line of malarkey there. Sorry about that. Okay. I know. Who gave me a license to teach? The University of Montana. Okay, so let's try another example here. I want you guys to copy this into your notes and try it on your own. I'll come around to check. Let's do okay. Let's do 7 times in parentheses b plus 1 close parentheses. Actually, let's do -7 times b plus 1 is greater than 42. Let's give that a try. When you think you got it, raise your hand. Make sure you graph it too. Okay, there we go.
Respect those negatives.
Yes.
Yeah, respect the negatives.
Okay, Tyler.
Variables and the variable and I think I move stuff around. Alright, this isn't too bad, yeah? Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's take it up half a notch.
No.
Just half half a notch, just like a tiny bit. You know how like when you go to like somebody else's shower that you've not showered in before, and like you're unaware of how all the like a 16th of an inch is 1,000 degrees. It's gonna be like that.
That was a hyperbole.
No, it really is 1,000 degrees. Okay, so let's try another one. Let's go a little more complicated here, just a tiny, tiny bit more complicated. You'll be fine, I promise you. Not a single person has ever died from this.
Well, it's the first time for everything.
Okay, so let's do 2 times in parentheses -2 plus 2x, close parentheses, minus 5, open parentheses, 1 minus 2x, close parentheses, less than or equal to 14x minus 6. This is half a notch, yep.
That's more like 15 notches.
It's half a notch. It's not that much.
Well, that's 3.5 notches.
We can survive this, I promise you.
And if we don't,
You will. You are not going to die from this.
then it's the first time for everything.
Okay. So, Zach, what's the first step? Distribute. Okay. So I'm going to distribute 2 to both things inside here. So when I distribute 2 to both things inside, what does it turn into?
-4 plus 4x.
-4 plus 4x. And then when I distribute minus 5 to both things inside here, what does it turn into? -5 plus 10x. Perfect. And then I'm not at the last step, so I don't need to worry about changing this. So less than or equal to 14x minus 6. Cool. So distributes the first step. What's the second step, Michael? Combine like terms. Are there any like terms on the right-hand side? Are there any like terms on the left-hand side? All kinds of them. So what like terms would you like to combine first? -4 and -5. When you combine those two, what do they turn into? They're both negative. Good. -9. Perfect. And then, it's okay. That's why we're doing it together right now, dude. I'm not going to give you a 0 or anything. Cade.
0 on my.
Yeah, you don't. I'm not going to do that. Cade, 4x and 10x. When you combine those, what do you get? 14x. And then this is less than or equal to. And then I'm going to drop down 14x minus 6. All right. So now I got to get constants on one side, variables on the other, right? Okay. So, Gary, what side do you want your constants on? What side do you want your variables on? Constants on the left, variables on the right. No worries with that. So to do constants on the left, Gareth, I have to move this -6 to the other side. How do I move -6? So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. And to get variables on the right, I have to move this plus 14x to the other side. How do I do that? So I'm going to minus 14x from both sides. So let me just go across and do all these operations. So 14x minus 14x, anybody, what does that make?
0.
And then -9 plus 6, anybody, what does that make? And then I'm not on the last step, so I'm going to drop this down. 14x minus 14x, anybody?
0.
And then -6 plus 6, anybody?
0.
I don't have anything over here, so I'm going to put 0 down. Now, here's what you're going to do. Is -3 less than 0?
Yes.
Okay. If you get something that is true, so -3 is less than 0, the variables have fallen out entirely, and you've gotten something that's true. Is it no solutions if it's true, or is it infinitely many solutions if it's true? Infinitely many solutions. So your answer is either the infinity symbol, IMS, or the words infinitely many. And then you don't have to graph that one. Infinitely many. Okay? Kinda, sorta? Cool. All right. So let me hand out the assignment. We're going to go through even more of these together, and then